But let's focus on the Tokyo Marathon, because Tokyo raises the bar when it comes to bringing its own flavor. Despite some special challenges, I could also say that March 2nd, 2025 is now one of my favorite race days. At 37,000 runners, the Tokyo City Marathon is Asia's biggest world major. That might change if Shanghai muscles in, but we could also say that size is not what makes Tokyo's marathon an Abbott certified race. It's the impeccable organization, the vibes, the changes in crowd and scene as you run through 10 of the city wards, and all of the little culture shocks that are going to remind you, oh yeah, we're not exactly in Kansas anymore. All I'll say for now is if you've never had the experience of trying to make your way around and even thrive as a foreigner, I very much recommend it. It's an experience that's so much bigger than running in a big circle, and if you can participate, you can let the experience prove that. The best piece of advice is going to be just be ready to adjust your expectations again and again. Tokyo runs a very tight ship. Even if you're a seasoned marathoner, some normal race habits won't fly here. I went in with the mindset that I was a guest and needed to adapt, and that was the right call. The rules are strict and the enforcement is very much there. If you miss your wristband or your corral time, you're not in the race. If you get caught peeing outside a designated bathroom, you can be disqualified. And I will say that's something that's very strange if that's a problem for you, because Tokyo's marathon is very public throughout the entire course. And the race toilets are also the most clean, most well-marked bathroom that you'll ever cry in after mile 20. Other rules are like if you wear something distracting, that's going to be a problem. So if you think you're going to run dressed as an equipped samurai or a naked cowboy or use a GoPro rig that makes it look like you're effortlessly flying when in reality a jacked woman is giving you a piggyback ride, you should think again. Basically, don't assume that just because something is fine at another race, it'll fly well in Tokyo. Do take the 15 minutes to read the runner's handbook well before the race, because some people are really going to want to note things like cutoff times and could be surprised by certain enforcements. Also want to talk very quickly about Pocari Sweat. It's the official drink of this race, and yes, it's fine. Many runners call it alligator sweat before making a face, like we forget that there's a drink called Gatorade.
I like this. It's like I'm going to call it a grapefruit Gatorade. But reading the nutrition facts, if you can see that, kind of tricky.
You could find this drink everywhere around Japan and maybe just try it before race day so you don't spit it out like a betrayed child. Another piece of advice, and this is probably just for idiots like myself, but only fools are gonna onsen before the race. Look, onsens, these are Japanese hot spring baths. They are amazing. They're historical, they're relaxing, and they're supposed to help after long flights. Some people make onsens a major highlight on their travel plans, but I should have Googled, is it smart to onsen before a marathon? Because the answer is a clear and hard no. Here's the issue. Onsens slow boil you like a dumpling, and that is no exaggeration. Japan literally calls soft-boiled eggs onsen eggs. But you know what? Your body responds to that heat by trying to cool down using the same resources that are crucial on race day. The effect for me was waking up pretty thirsty before a race, and this was despite drinking loads in the 9 days before the race. So by kilometer 35, which I think is mile 22, I had a very deep understanding of thirst. At one point I took 5 drinking cups in one stop, in one drink station. That's never happened to me before. So the moral of the story is, if you want to try an onsen, you want to try something new like that, just do it after the race. Otherwise, you might feel more like a breakfast item than an athlete. As for the course and the crowd experience, first off, the Tokyo Marathon course is flat. And while that might sound great, flat also means that your calves are never going to get a break. So with hills, you do shift effort between muscle groups, and this changes how fatigue works a little bit. For Tokyo, my calves are screaming by the end. During the post-race death march, that mandatory walk designed to prevent finishers from face planting or worse, I found myself stopping and self-massaging on the grass like an injured soccer player. After New York, I was moving to a celebration just fine, and I do think that was a difference in training and a switch between muscle groups on the actual course. So, lesson learned, just train accordingly. I've got Sydney coming up with a few bridge climbs, and I'm going to be adjusting my training plan, and it wouldn't be the exact same training plan that I would use for Tokyo. Navigation-wise, you're going to want to expect things like a tight traffic flow, switchbacks galore. People are so much nicer about not fighting through drink stations, and also runners can get kicked out for things like littering, so you'll either need to bring your A game in waste paper basketball, be ready to carry, or spend a few extra seconds properly binning your trash. Now, in terms of crowd energy, I think this is also a place where Tokyo distinguishes itself from other majors. So compared to, say, New York, which is very much a high-energy rave in many ways, it's loud, it's chaotic, it's full of people screaming directly into your eardrums and your soul, Tokyo is more structured. And there's a big reason that the word polite is going to come up when you hear people's accounts of traveling in Japan. I will say there are actual golf claps in some sections of the race, but you might also hear battle cries and screams of enthusiasm for hard efforts in the exact same kilometer. And for me as a New Yorker, that juxtaposition was mind-blowing. You can also expect amazing cheer squads, folks going all out. And over the hours, I think I found people who were arguably putting in more energy than a lot of the marathoners themselves. American races can be chock full of signs that read with things like, "Run faster!" And I'm gonna be honest, signs like that kind of annoy me because they seem drawn from a clean kitchen table or couch. In Tokyo, the signs were a lot more along the vibe of "Ganbare," which I think translates to "do your best." Others were saying things like "fight" with English, and then the kanji was written underneath. And let's be very, very real. That simple message is not lost in translation, and that can hit pretty hard when you're deep in the pain cave. I will say that this race was not just another marathon for me. Getting there was a journey, shifting my perspective on travel, culture. It even evidenced that there could be fewer jerks in my country and how to be less of one. Since I've gotten back, I think the 3 most common questions that I've been asked are: 1. Did you go alone? Answer is yes. I will say the logistics of traveling solo came also with a lot of freedom that made this runcation special and tailored. I was able to stay at a hotel with a solid breakfast buffet that was also a 20-minute walk from the start line, and this made Tokyo my favorite race day start. A couple days after, I made my way over to Osaka, and I was able to explore and eat my way around town before ending up in Hong Kong on my way back. These became experiences to treasure, and I just hope that the message is people should not be afraid of a little respectful solo travel. Another question was, how was the race? And hopefully that's clear by now, but there's a whole separate video for that. And the last question was, how did you like Japan? Well, I went for a race and I came back with new outlooks beyond my personal limits for Pocari Sweat. Let's just leave it that way. As for my finishing time, I will be frank, this was my second slowest marathon. And I kind of feel great about that. And the reason for that lies in my excuse-adjusted pace. 1, jet lag is real. Even with 3 days to adjust, it felt like I was starting a race at 11 p.m. I have traveled across time zones before, but the range of 14.5 hours is all I'll say is jet lag is very, very easy to underestimate. I did self-sabotage with onsens, I know we covered that, but also in the race itself, I interacted so much more. I took it all in, and I can honestly say that the heat was rough. People were falling apart me at the end, and I even helped a couple of runners. I'm certainly okay with trading a little time for the right memories, and that does feel right. I've also been overloading on marathons, and I'll leave it at that. This was my second marathon in 5 weeks. Houston was in early February, and frankly, I needed more recovery time. So when it comes to race prep, I could have absolutely been smarter, but I also wanted to see if I could make it through too many marathons uninjured, and the answer is yes. And from that, I'd say compared to a year ago when I was running around, I still certainly feel more able to pilot my body through hard things. With my next marathon in September, there's also no longer a need to do that. Now I get to see what happens with a proper training block. The bottom line here is if I apply my excuse-adjusted pace formula, factoring things like jet lag, hydration mistakes, cultural distractions, spot of illness, and my poor life decisions, I've even gotten a new PR. So my final takeaway is, should newer runners go for the Tokyo Marathon? Absolutely yes, is my strong opinion here. If you get the chance, if you think that you can prove physically, emotionally, and financially capable enough to make this journey, take the trip. Tokyo is unforgettable, and from there, you are just a quick trip away from so many other amazing places in Japan. I'd say go for the race, stay for the experience, just for the love of all things smart, skip the pre-race onsen.